So hi everyone, this is another in that video series I'm doing all about stages of labour, and this is about transition. So this little short video is all about transition, which is the phase of labour which follows on from the active stage, which is already talked about in a previous video, before you come to the birthing stage, the second stage, which is when you'll meet your baby. And transition is when you're kind of 8 to 10 centimetres dilated. You'll be having strong, regular surges, as we call them in hypnobirthing, or contractions, around a minute or so long. This can be the most intense phase. It can be the most uncomfortable. This is the transition from the part of labour when the cervix is opening, dilating, to give you that exit pathway for baby to be born, and the body getting ready to move and transition into the birthing stage. It's usually quite a short phase, maybe 10-15 minutes long, 4 to 5 surges perhaps. It can be longer. If you are using an epidural or synthetic oxytocin, your transition might be very different. You might not notice it in the same way. Okay, just to note that. Transition can be a real marker with your labour, a really distinct phase, and for some women it can happen without being barely recognised, because every labour is unique, and for some it can be a real point, a real noticeable point, and a real signifier to birth partners of where you are, and your midwife of where you are in labour. It's a natural spike in adrenaline, the stress hormone, that causes transition, and it's a primitive safety mechanism, if you like, because we need to be safe when we're actually going to birth and meet our baby. And transition is a natural adrenaline spike in transition. It's like a little double check to make sure we are safe and we're not going to be chased or eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Highly unlikely in 2021. But that's this primitive safety mechanism kicking in again. So all the way through these videos I've talked about keeping stress hormones and adrenaline at bay, minimizing them to allow your oxytocin and birth hormones to flow. But this adrenaline spike in the transition phase is meant to happen. It is part of the physiological process of labour. We want to be on this alert state in this transition, but for as little time as possible, because if we don't and we stay in that alert state because of the adrenaline, it can cause the labour to take longer or to stall. So we need in this point of labour to feel safe again. And this is where your birth partner becomes critical. So when your birth partner notices you're in this stage, and this might be very, very clear because of how you are acting, there are really obvious changes in emotional state. You can suddenly feel, because of the adrenaline, overwhelmed, out of control. I sometimes describe this in my hypnobirthing courses to people as the batshit crazy stage. Okay, that might give you an idea. It can cause the intensity of surges to feel more intense, more uncomfortable because of the adrenaline. So even if you've been coping really well so far, using all your hypnobirthing techniques, this can suddenly feel really uncomfortable. I've heard of women who were up to this point coping brilliantly, suddenly demanding a cesarean at this point, or all of the drugs, or wanting to go home when they actually were at home already, or demanding that their mother or somebody else comes into the room. Things that are really out of character. They might be feeling nauseous, even vomiting or shaking. It's really important to know to pass through this transition stage as quickly as possible. Birth partners need to reassure mum that she's safe, that she is safe, to bring her back down, okay? So to allow the oxytocin to reflow. So words like, you are safe, I'm here for you, I love you, you're doing amazingly, we're meeting our baby soon, anything that will calm and reassure the woman at this point, and her feeling safe will bring her and allow her to move through transition and then encourage her back into the bubble that she was in, the birth bubble. You can also focus on your hypnobirthing breathing to stay calm and help to get that oxytocin level rising again too during transition. Remembering, of course, every surge, every single surge or contraction is a part of labour that's doing its job. It doesn't last forever. You will be meeting your baby soon, just focusing on one at a time. So once mum knows she's safe, once mum knows that it's a safe place to have her baby wherever you are, from those words of reassurance from her partner, from the midwife, and the team if necessary too, then the oxytocin will drop back down again, naturally, as it's designed to. The oxytocin will drop back up, and then you'll move from transition into the birthing stage, or the second stage of labour, or as we sometimes call it in hypnobirthing, the down stage. And the down stage, the birthing stage, is what my next video in the series will be about, so watch out for that soon. But that, in a nutshell, is transition.